In episode 1, we saw how fire changed the destiny of humankind, but another turning point, thousands of years later, would forever transform the way humans lived, the agricultural revolution. So welcome back, Professor Heel. Put your thinking caps on because it's time to learn some history. Let's jump right into it. The year is roughly 10,000 BCE, where in an arc of land between the River Nile, the Tigris and Euphrates, the Indus and the Yellow River, humans have been around for hundreds of thousands of years, but until now have been nomadic hunters. They follow animal herds and seasonal weather patterns, always on the move. Then something happens that changes all of that. People discover that in these regions, if they plant seeds in the ground, crops will grow. This is so significant that historians call this discovery the agricultural revolution or the Neolithic revolution. Why? Because it marks the beginning of the Neolithic period, which is characterized by the domestication of plants and animals. But why do humans start doing this? Well, for humans, there's always an element of luck involved. For example, maybe someone noticed that fruit from wild plants tasted better when they were picked at a certain stage of ripeness, or that seeds that fell from an ear of wheat and sprouted overnight looked kind of familiar to the grain they used to eat. And over time, they may have intentionally gathered and planted these seeds. But there's another reason. Fire. Remember the turning point from episode 1. Humans learned to control fire, and soon realized that cooked food tastes better than raw food and is easier to digest. Plus, it can be prepared in advance. Humans don't need to eat immediately after they find their food, so humans are drawn to the idea of planting crops. Maybe it looks kind of like those fruits they used to gather, except this time they're putting the seeds in the ground themselves. Humans quickly realize that planting and harvesting crops is hard work. It takes time and energy to turn a field of grain from nothing to something. And at first, there's no guarantee that anything will grow. But then one day something amazing happens. Someone notices that some grains in a field look bigger than the others. They feel softer and tastier too. These are the first domesticated grains. Plants that have been selectively bred by humans for their size and flavor. And with more work, the plants will keep getting better and better. The same goes for animals. Humans begin to notice that some goats have larger udders than others, giving them more milk. Some sheep have thicker coats for warmth, and some cattle are larger with more meat. Humans start selecting these animals for breeding, changing their traits over time. What does this mean? Planting crops and raising animals meant that humans didn't have to wander around following food anymore. They could stay in one place and grow their own. So around 8000 BCE, the first villages appear in the Fertile Crescent, where the wild animals have long since been hunted to extinction. Farming villages like Jericho and Cataluk have thousands of people living in them. That's more than any other village so far. These early settlements aren't walled cities but open areas full of mud, brick houses, farmlands, and craft workshops. Trade is happening here too, with merchants coming from other lands to barter goods. It's not all good news though. With farming comes wealth, but also inequality. Those who own more land will have access to more food and resources than those who own less. This leads to social classes developing, including kings and queens, priests and nobles, along with farmers and laborers. Since there's now property to protect, villages are built with walls and appointed guards to defend them. As conflicts over land and resources become more common, so do wars. Wars up until now have been fought over territory. Now with the advent of agriculture, they're fought over food. The good news is that warfare is still rare. Most people want to cooperate in order to survive. Just like in episode 1, humans adapt to their environment and the environment adapts to them. Their relationship with nature will never be the same. Now let's take a quick pause to explore some facts and figures from the era. The process of selective breeding causes major changes over time. Wheat and barley are among the first cultivated grains. Animals like sheep, goats, and cattle provide meat, milk, and labor. Pottery appears as a practical tool for holding liquids and later for cooking. Storage systems develop to hold food surpluses, allowing for trade. Permanent homes are built out of wood, stone, and eventually brick. Villages grow from a few hundred to several thousand people. Some villages even establish local governments to help manage daily life. Conflicts increase over limited resources, leading to the development of organized warfare. And what's a typical day in the life of a villager like? Well, for most, it's a busy one. Villagers spend their days working the fields, tending to crops and livestock. Men typically clear the land for farming and may specialize in metalworking or carpentry. Women usually care for the animals, cook meals, and weave cloth. Children help out by collecting firewood, caring for younger siblings, and helping with farm chores. Free time might involve socializing with neighbors, attending religious ceremonies, or playing games. There isn't much leisure time though, and everyone understands that cooperation is essential for the community's survival. As we end this episode, let's think about the legacy of the agricultural revolution. What made this era so special? Well, first, the development of agriculture caused profound changes in human society. It marked the shift from nomadic hunter-gatherer bands to settled agricultural communities. Second, it led to population growth and the formation of villages and early settlements. Remember, for the first time, humans can stay in one spot and grow their own food, so settlements become permanent and grow in size. Third, the agricultural revolution brought about social and economic changes. Agriculture led to the emergence of social classes, specialization of labor, and the accumulation of wealth. And finally, it sparked environmental consequences, the domestication of plants and animals. Deforestation and changes in land use resulted in significant ecological changes. That being said, the agricultural revolution brought about many positive changes. It allowed humans to stay in one location and grow their own food. This caused population growth and the creation of villages and early cities. It also led to specialization of labor and an increase in wealth, which led to even more innovation. The agricultural revolution is a turning point in history because it changes everything. For the first time, humans can live in one place, build permanent homes, and grow their own food. We know that sounds like a pretty simple concept, but before this, humans were constantly on the move, surviving by hunting wild animals and foraging for berries, nuts, and plants. Having a stable food supply allowed humans to start thinking about more complex concepts like religion, art, and government. The agricultural revolution is a turning point in history because it changes everything. Okay, so let's recap the key takeaways from this episode. First, the agricultural revolution describes the transition from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a settled agricultural way of life. This occurred independently in different parts of the world during the Neolithic period around 10,000 BC. The process began with the domestication of plants and animals, followed by the establishment of villages and the keeping of livestock. Next, the revolution led to significant social and economic changes, including the emergence of social classes, specialization of labor, and the accumulation of wealth. Finally, agriculture had profound environmental consequences such as deforestation, soil erosion, and changes in plant and animal species. Now we're going to end the episode by discussing the importance of the agricultural revolution. It was a pivotal moment in human history that laid the foundation for the development of civilizations. You see, without the surplus of food and the specialization of labor that agriculture allowed for, large cities, complex governments, and other hallmarks of civilization wouldn't have been possible. The agricultural revolution was a turning point in history that shaped the course of human civilization. Now go ahead and click on this video to keep reviewing for Unit 1, Topic 1, or click on this video to continue watching the series. Thanks for joining me on this journey through history. And remember, the past is never dead. It's always here with us. See you next time.